Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharon Pete and you guys can call me Sha. If it's your first time here, hello, and you are definitely welcome. In this video today, I'm going to show you how I tone my 613 hair into this beautiful blonde for women of color. I'm gonna turn around a little bit so that you guys can see the back, but if my mic switches off, I'm sorry. Let's get straight into the video. So guys, this is how the hair came. It came in 3 bundles and a frontal. Then I made a wig out of it. So I'm gonna show you guys how to prevent the dye from seeping through the lace. You're gonna use this Got2b spray and spray it all over the lace, and then that's how you won't stain the lace. Just wait for it to dry first before you start dyeing the hair. And this is the color that I used for the roots, and then for the other hair I used those 2 colors. We're going to use a bowl instead of that tube that it comes with, because this consistency is just too thin and you might find that it's running. So I used a brush to apply the roots. Basically, this is what I did for the entire wig before I got to the frontal. So I just speed up the whole process so that this video is not too long. I realized that I was actually taking more than 2 wefts at a time, and then I went back in and put more dye. But if you don't have more dye, you can just spare the whole dark color for the frontal. It actually works because no one is going to see the back. Now here comes the fun part, the frontal. I would advise you guys to have like hair pins or clips to do this. It works easier that way. I was just trying to be as quick as I can, but if you have a clip, you can just open a line and then clip the hair to prevent the hair from getting the dye when it's not supposed to. And also you need to make sure that you make very thin lines in between. The dye must cover up everything. Some of you might be asking yourselves, how far do I take the dark dye or the brown dye? It actually depends on what you want or how you want the wig to look. I really prefer that the roots are an inch darker, just an inch. You'll see later on when we start to put the other blonde dye, the two will have to blend, and then we'll use a blending brush again to extend the dark roots into that. You don't want the dark roots to leave a harsh line in between the blonde dye and the dark dye. So we're going to blend them a little bit longer later on. So a toothbrush works best in this case. If you are a beginner in dyeing the roots, it gives you more control. This one is a bit long, and you might find that it's applying in places where you were not supposed to apply. So a small toothbrush or a smaller brush can work better. You can just make sure that you've covered all your areas before you move on to the blonde dye. Now, moving on to the blonde dye, I only used 2 boxes, and I'm pretty sure they were enough. I did not add anything. So these clips are the ones I mentioned earlier. I didn't think they were important until I got here, and they really helped, because now the dye was starting to process, and if anything touches it, it was going to stain it. And this is how I initially started to put the blonde dye, but then I realized I was not able to blend the blonde with the dark. I then moved on to taking a brush, and then I blended the two together. I did not want any patches anyway. When coming to the frontal, I actually used a brush. It was quicker. It made things look a bit flawless than the backside. And you can see that when I'm blending, I touch a little bit of the brown dye so that it has this beautiful highlights later on. That's when I realized that I had patches. Please make sure that you cover the roots properly. I actually forgot to mention earlier on that I left the brown dye to settle about 10 minutes, and then it felt a little bit dry. Then I started applying the blonde, and I let the both sit for over 35 minutes, and then I started washing. So the first shampoo that I used is this Tresemme Cleanse. I love this stuff. It's amazing, especially for dyed hair. I used it to wash initially, and then after that I moved on to toning with the Violet Crush. Guys, this John Frieda stuff is just amazing. So there are 2 of them. There's an intensive one and the just normal purple shampoo. So I put it in water. I did not even measure, and then I blended it with the water. Then I let the wig stay in there. You can let it stay for about 5 to 10 minutes, but if you're using it on yellow hair before you even put dye or blonde dye or anything, just leave it there for 15 minutes. Then I'm gonna move on to the conditioner. This is also very nice. It helps with reducing the breakage because I've already processed this hair again with dye. So this is going to help moisturize and condition for longer. After letting it stay for 15 minutes, I then rinsed it out and it was ready. It looks a little bit dark here on the as I was still doing that, but later on I realized that that brown came off. I don't know how. So let's move on. I just blow dried it. So I was going for a bob and I cut this wig. I'm sorry I didn't film the cutting part, but if you guys want to see how I cut a bob, just let me know and I'll do that. I really loved how this color came out. I couldn't actually wait to wear it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have questions, please leave them down in the description below. I'll definitely answer all the questions you guys have. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.